Hello, my name is Alonso Gonzalez, and for the past 20 years, I've been an English teacher here in Sinaloa, working basically with B1 level young adults and professionals. I'm currently in my fifth semester of the BA program, and this reflection is part of my Unit 8 final assignment on microteaching, where I'll connect my long-standing classroom practice with the reflective insights gained from this program. This program has given me a powerful framework to articulate what I've been evolving toward for years, becoming a true reflective practitioner. In my recent micro-teaching sessions, I consciously applied the Kolb's experimental learning cycle. For instance, after a role-play activity designed to build fluency, a focus of my action research, by the way, I didn't just note if it worked. I constantly experienced the student's hesitancy, right, and reflected on why. This is maybe the instructions were not scaffolded enough. And based on that, I conceptualized a new approach using clearer sentence themes and actively experimented with it in the next session. My most significant shift, I will say, is mirror in these micro teachings has been moving from a manager and corrector to a facilitator and a scaffolder. I used to think that a silent classroom was a good classroom, but now I see that the power of a structured noise, the productive struggle during a task-based learning activity, a specific area that I'm really working is on balancing my instinct to give immediate correction with the need to encourage fluency and confidence. I'm learning to use tools like exit tickets for quick formative feedback instead of relying only on summative tests at the end of the unit. My objectives focus less on starting from scratch and more on deepening and systematizing my practice. For instance, number one, first, I will say, to fully institutionalize formative assessment. I want my use of techniques like AFL and feedback to be as automatic as my lesson planning. I aim to design a simple, sustainable tracking system for my students and for their progress that goes beyond grades. Second, to further integrate technology, not as a novelty, but as a meaningful tool for interaction. My students are young professionals, and using online modes effectively can extend learning beyond our classroom walls. Finally, to formalize my reflective practice, I've always reflected, but now I want to use a structured template, perhaps a simplified version of Do It Straights, of the reflective individual to ensure my reflections consistently lead to an actionable change. To achieve this, my strategy combines both traditional and modern approaches. The main resource is my own classroom as a living lab, where I continue my action research on role play for fluency. I will use academic journals for this program and platforms like Teaching English and Edutopia for new perspectives. But perhaps most importantly, I will tap into the community of practice, both my fellow students online and local teacher colleagues to be observed, and participate in collaborative reflection. Theory from our courses on TVLT motivation, and interaction will guide me, but my students' responses will be my real measure. For an English teacher, PCK means knowing not just grammar, but how to make the grammar meaningful for maybe a waiter, mechanic, right? Or an office manager here in Guamuchil. It's also about choosing the right macro function, like persuading or describing, to teach a grammatical structure in a context they recognize. My commitment is to never stop connecting theory to my local context. Continuous reflection is the engine, okay, of this. It's not just an extra task. It's a habit of mind that turns experience into expertise. After 20 years, I'm not closing the book on learning. I'm using reflection to write more purposeful, practical chapters for myself and my students. Thank you, Esperanza. Thank you very much for this opportunity to reflect. This journey has reaffirmed that whether you are in your first or your 28th year teaching, growth comes from a willingness to look at your practice with honesty, empathy, and a desire to improve. Okay. And let me just close. Let me tell you that I remain a student of teaching. Thank you very much.